Hello and welcome to Kicking Tires. My name is Jimmy,
And I'm Justin.
and we start off today with more Porsche news because we didn't get enough last week. Oh, that's
It's
not
a
a Porsche.
bit of the same, but a little carryover. Brand new model for Porsche, which is kind of
Oh,
unique. It's
brand
a
new trim.
yes, brand new trim. We don't get these too often, especially with their SUVs. This generation we saw the launch of the coupe version. Look at that spoiler.
It's so ugly. I saw it in
It
person.
looks.
Not this one, but I saw a coupe in person with the spoiler extended. I thought it was the
Yep.
ugliest thing ever.
It looks like that childhood toy of that. No, I don't know if it's Transformers, but like you crash it and then it expands.
Oh, it
Yeah, all
explodes.
the
Yeah, yeah,
doors
yeah.
and that car model that we all had. That's what it kind of looks like. But yeah, as ugly spoiler aside, I mean, I'm sure it's functional, being a Porsche. But yeah, the Turbo GT model. What is so special about this car?
So it's really the high performance track orientated version of the Cayenne Turbo. So the GT now. It's 631 horsepower, which is 90 more than the regular turbo coupe, and there's 626 pound-feet of torque, up from 567. So yes, it's faster. Porsche claims 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds, and as Porsche always is, that's good.
It's
That's going to be an
achievable.
understated number.
Yeah,
It's probably going to be like a 2.8 or something like that.
yeah.
Quarter mile 11.6 with a top speed of 186. So it should be quite a quick vehicle. Ooh, carbon fiber roof. Look at that.
Wow.
As you know, you really need that in your 5,000 or 6,000 pound SUV, however much it weighs.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty. It's kind of compelling. I mean, but it's an expensive one. Like it's supercar money for a SUV that you'll never really drive it to what it's built for. It's for bragging rights at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, bragging rights, but bragging rights is important, as we'll touch on later on in this episode. But um, I, I think they could have done a little bit more with the exterior styling. Just make it that GT car, right? Like I know people some people, the purists, are going to be anti, this is a SUV. Just as when the Cayenne first came out, everyone was kind of, yeah, you know, that car is blasphemy for a lot of diehard Porsche guys. And then eventually everyone softens up a little bit. I think uh, Porsche absolutely nailed it with the Cayenne. And yeah, this is just they're pushing the boundaries of what we think is kind of the norm and what people do with luxury SUVs. Um, and they've proved it before that there is some kind of demand for these types of vehicles.
I'm pretty sure Cayenne is their best selling vehicle right now.
Oh, for sure, and it's absolutely saved this brand
Yeah.
in 20 years ago.
Would it be better if they called it the Porsche Cayenne GT5?
Uh, GT5 is not a thing, so
That's
uh,
perfect. We'll create a new class. You got the GT1, 2, 3, 4. This is can be the GT5. Be perfect. There's are these 22 or 23-inch wheels? 22 inch
I think.
with Pirelli P0 Corsa.
Yeah, and the gold trim, gold, I think that is a bold color, and it works on this Nardo. I don't think it's Nardo gray, but it's
Yeah, you
like,
can't call it Nardo gray. It's not an Audi.
yeah,
So
Arctic gray. They call it
I,
Arctic gray.
I like how they're so detailed in their blurb here. So like they say the front wheels are 1 inch wider compared to the regular Cayenne Turbo, and negative camber has been increased by 0.45 of a degree to allow for those specially developed 22-inch wheels to have maximum contact patch.
Yeah, there's
0.45 of a degree.
there's less wheel gap on this car than like a lot of sports cars and sedans and whatnot. Like the new G80 has as much wheel gap as the new M3.
Oh, I thought you said G80. I was thinking
Oh yeah,
Genesis.
no, not the Genesis.
I was like,
I
what?
mean,
That has a lot of wheel gap.
yeah, I know. The new G80 BMW. Um, but yeah, no, this thing is pretty damn low to the ground.
Yeah, it's definitely as I said previously, coupe SUVs is more like just a high riding sedan these days than a coupe SUV. Like if you take a look at the silhouette, it's definitely not a coupe because there's four doors. It's a sedan or a hatchback, notchback, but it's basically just a high riding sedan. That's what it's come down to
Yeah,
now.
I do like the roof line. I actually the Cayenne coupe I think is the best in terms of like proportions. Like if you look at it dead on from the side, it looks kind of like a Panamera, which
So
looks
there's
pretty
a little bit
good.
of trick here
The
with the roof
spoiler,
line, eh?
yeah,
Because if you look at the gray slopes down, and that's what you'll see. And the sloping effect that is very like 911-esque or
hmm
Panamera-esque. But the roof line, if you look at the actual roof itself, it actually goes behind or just above the rear wheel, and
yeah,
then it slopes back down.
yeah,
So it's
and
very
it's that
similar to like the
trend.
Mach E, how it has that
Yeah,
bit.
and the Jaguars do it, and I think who else does it? But yeah, I know Jaguar does it a little bit with their IE pace. I don't know which one it's called. Anyway, I can't. Their naming is beyond me. But yeah, I
The
do
case is
like
the
the
little
rear
one.
end. I think the front end is a little bit too blunt now with all the new curves with the coupe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, cool car, super fast.
Yeah.
What else to say?
That's really it. Let's move on to something that we can cover in super fast way. Honda, the Prologue SUV begins the next chapter in the brand's EV direction. So essentially, Honda, as they have paired with GM, they're going to be using GM's Ultium. Is it Ultium? Ultium battery pack, and it's going to develop an SUV style electric, like full battery electric vehicle by 2024. And we'll probably see a luxury variant for Acura, but it's going to be their first like full EV. Actually, did they have a full EV before? They might have like the little
Honda,
city cars.
yeah,
Yeah, they had a
not
little city.
here, but yeah.
Yeah, they had a little city thing. I remember they had one of those little city cars, and that was full electric. But this is like going to be their mass market full battery electric vehicle, because they want to have 100% of all auto sales in North America be electric by 2040. So this is kind of like the start of it.
Yeah, yeah. I know they
So,
have the Honda E in the rest of the world, the little hatchback
oh yeah,
thing.
right. There's that as well.
That thing looks so cool, but it's expensive and it's not that good, from what I
Yeah,
remember.
it's like a Mini Cooper. That one. It looks cool. It's unique, but it's not. It doesn't have the biggest range. It's not the biggest on the inside. There's like it's more of a fashion item than an actual,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
very retro and it's cool, but it's not going to change the market as far as EVs go.
No.
But
But
yeah, Honda.
this one here, from rumors and everything else, people say it's going to be about CRV size,
Yeah.
which makes sense, because CRV is Honda's like biggest seller,
Yeah.
right? So it makes sense to have your first electric vehicle in SUV and CRV
Yeah.
size. So this will compete with the B4Z EV or whatever it's called from Toyota. I forgot
BMW
what it's called.
Z4.
You
I
remember?
forgot.
You had an anagram for it.
Yeah, I did. BMW Z4 X Drive. So it's a BZ4X. But yeah, no, CRV size is perfect because that is like the Goldilocks size car, right? It's not
Yeah.
too small for a lot of people and it's not too big for a lot of people. And when you're going into EV, you're kind of going in with an open mind. That's why the Model 3 is selling so well. You know, a lot of people weren't looking for a four-door sedan, but pricing, function, range, and it just ended up fitting people's needs more than you thought. And it's just amazing how that car has taken off. because the market told us, and all the car journalists are like, no one wants a four-door sedan anymore. And obviously there's the Model Y, but the Model 3 kind of justified the four-door sedan thing all over again. Like it's kind of uh, where its position is perfect. Yeah, so I think this size of vehicle is going to make sense. Honda really needs it. They've been a laughing stock in terms of electric vehicles. Like honestly, their hybrid tech and their EV tech, they're lagging behind, and them being kind of a real engineer focused company, they need to do better. And I think that's why they've reached out to GM yet again. So this is like the Saturn View red line all over again.
My favorite Saturn vehicle of all time.
Best Saturn. Yeah, that was 15 years ago when GM came looking for a really good V6, and I guess that's the love child of that relationship. Hopefully, the Prologue does a little bit better than the View Redline, but
does a little bit better than last time Honda asked GM for some transmissions.
Oops. that's still like a I don't know what you call it, but it's still a pockmark on Honda's history.
Yeah,
I think they haven't recovered from that reputation. But yeah, Honda used to be such a cutting edge engineering company, and I don't know how, but they've really lagged behind with EV.
I mean,
you see companies like Hyundai, and you're like, okay, they're never that forward thinking when it comes to the actual engineering. With features, yes, interior trim, sure, but engineering, no. But Honda, that was their bread and butter for the longest time, and I think the last decade they just haven't pushed the boundaries enough.
Okay, I just want to go over this real quick. I mean, if you ever take a look at Honda's website, all right, let's just take a look at the cars that they have for the 2021 and 2022 lineup. This is a very sad lineup. I think, like, we talked about this off the air, but like the only new car that's recent is the Civic Sedan. The Accord got updated, I think, like 3 years back now.
Mm-hmm.
That's still pretty relevant, but the Civic Sedan is the newest one. The rest of the range is pretty bland. Like, there's really nothing that's in this entire lineup that people really want anymore. The clarity is dying. They killed that off because this is not doing well enough.
Yeah,
there's just nothing with it.
They haven't timed their market launches well. So right now we're looking at we have 6 models under their SUVs and trucks and minivans, and they're all old models. Like they're all legacy models that they're not that competitive anymore, and they're all soon to be replaced. But we're just in an awkward spot with Honda right now that it's like we've got facelifts here and there, but the facelifts, they can only get you so far.
Yeah, the Ridgeline and the Odyssey did get a facelift. I must say the Ridgeline facelift looks really good, but it's just a facelift, right? Like it's not really going to do much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I feel like it's just product planning. It's just weak product planning on their part.
Yeah.
The Passport, no one's really as excited about that as, well, Honda is excited about it, but no one else really cares about it because it's just rejuvenating an old model, which is the Pilot, which has been around since 2016, 2015,
something like that. Yeah. I mean, it's the Pilot with the rear end chopped off, so you don't get the third row.
Yeah, like, Japanese automakers used to only keep their vehicles around for about 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And these models are long in the tooth now.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of sad. Hopefully, Honda can step it up with this new electric vehicle, but it won't be in any showrooms till 2024. So we definitely still got a ways to go. Hopefully, we'll see a new CRV soon. As a Civic Sedan is refreshed, generally right after that is a CRV, and we can see some of the future. Looking at like the Civic Sedan as well as the new Civic Hatch, like yes, is a little bland and boring from the outside, but the inside looks good. Like the material looks good, so there's still some saving grace there. But I honestly, I can't wait for the next CRV because when this CRV came out, I thought it was the best SUV that you can buy at that
I
time.
thought so too. And a lot of my friends are like, it's so ugly. I think it looks good.
I think it's good looking SUV, and it's so
Yeah.
practical,
And I
super
know,
practical.
like, I know some people that got the RAV4. I'm like, why'd you pick a RAV4 over a CRV? They're like, we don't like the way the CRV looks. I'm like, really? I'm
The,
like, I don't know.
the only reason I would pick a RAV4 over a CRV is because of the hybrid powertrain.
Yeah, you gotta
In
be
Canada,
a hybrid or a prime. Yeah.
yeah, in Canada here, you can't get the CRV in a hybrid. It's only available in the US. Don't know why. There's never been an actual release on why that's happened, but
Yeah, and I mean that right there is the best indicator of how far Honda has lagged behind. Because you look at crossovers now and you just want to get the hybrid or the prime and nothing else even compares. Like not even close. But the thing is Toyota's did this like almost over 5 6 years ago. I mean, we've had hybrid RAV4s for a while now.
mhm,
So it's not like you didn't see it coming. It's just you just weren't able to predict the market, and I think,
yeah.
or you didn't want to spend the money, and I think they're hurting because of that. I think everyone else is behind in terms of that. um and look at Toyota cuts corners like no tomorrow too. Like they
They
can
do.
cheap out so much on their cars because the tech is there, the engineering is there.
They certainly can. But
Yeah,
I think Hyundai is the brand to look out for. I mean, they have
right, with the new
a
hybrids.
hybrid and plug-in hybrid for the new Tucson, as well as the new Santa Fe. Like, it's going to be a huge deal because you can't get a plug-in hybrid for the Highlander,
Mm,
right? You can only get a hybrid version. The only plug-in hybrid that Toyota makes right now is the RAV4. They said in the previous press release that they are going to make more Prime models, but it's kind of a when, right?
yeah.
We see that on the Prius, we see that on the RAV4, which of course is their kind of two biggest hybrid vehicles in terms of sellers. Highlander is going to be a close third after that. So it would make sense for a Highlander Prime to come out after, and then maybe a Sienna Prime, but that's going to be
Yeah.
in the very distant future.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have it. They have the technology, and they probably have planned to put it in. They're just like weighing the pros and the cons, and especially with supplier limitations these days,
Yeah,
it maybe it makes sense to just kind of delay stuff. And there's no real competition at the moment, so it's kind of okay. You don't want to be losing sales, but who are you really going to lose sales to?
exactly. Speaking of plug-in hybrids, that's really interesting. Ferrari has a plug-in
Ferrari.
hybrid for you.
Yes, the 296 GTB. No fun name here. It's just the GTB.
Totally fine. I
Yeah,
don't mind that at all. Uh, but
yeah.
this is quite interesting. So it's a brand new V6 plug-in hybrid architecture. I mean, most Ferraris these days are either V8s or V12s, but this is brand new, a V6 in a Ferrari. So it's kind of capturing like a little bit of that Dino of the past, but it's still a mid-engine. It's still a two-seater, and it's like the baby variant, just below like the SF90. But it's really not a baby, right? Because
Yeah, no.
819 horsepower. That's a lot of power for a baby Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean it's priced at that well, quote unquote price at that level because in Europe the MSRP is going to be a little bit over the equivalent of 320 US dollars, 320,000 US dollars. Now that is kind of reasonable as far as supercars start now. That is a Ferrari, so you're going to have a lot of options. There is already I think a Fiorano package that drives it up like quite significantly, like an M3's worth. But yeah, the base price, getting 800 horsepower, I think that is a bargain. And it's got a plug-in hybrid. It's got electric range of 25k. Now the only thing about this car, I think the styling is dull to me. I don't know about you.
I'm just trying to pull up a good photo. I mean, there's only two on this page for whatever reason. It's okay. I think it's better than some of the later Ferraris. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of like the 488 because I feel like the 488 was it didn't look enough different than the 458. The 458 looked great when it came up, but the 488 it's just kind of bland, right? But then Ferrari introduced the Roma, and I love the Roma. I think Roma is the best looking Ferrari in a very long time. And this has some of that styling bits. So to me, it's okay. I think it's really the back end that kind of throws me off because that back end doesn't look all that special.
Yeah, the back end, it kind of looks like an older McLaren, maybe, and it looks like something out of GTA 5, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I'm so about. I think the styling, the line is familiar. We've seen this kind of shape from Ferrari since the mid 2000s. This Berlinetta mid-engine shape, but the arrow and the headlights and just like the overall shape is not exciting to me. And I think that is the most important thing when you're buying a car like this. It's not how fast, no one's taking it up to 205 miles per hour, or not a lot of people will, but it needs to look the part. It needs to be the flex. So
it needs to look good in front of a hotel.
Exactly. You want to pull up in this, and it needs to look better than the old one, which I don't think it does. The F8, well, yeah, the Tributo, the F8 looks better than this. It's more aggressive. The 458 looks better than this.
You think the 458 looks better than this?
That's
the 458, the 488, and the F8, they all look the same to me. Like I know there's differences, there's minor things and tweaks, but they're just so similar. So to me, when I'm looking at an F8, I'm just thinking, I'm like, hey, this is a 458 with some cosmetic bits added to it. I know it's not, right? I know it's not. There's a whole lot of engineering that's gone in to the F8 to make it a lot better than the 458 ever was. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem elegant enough. A Roma is elegant, but it's elegant because of the FR design, right? You got the long sweeping hood. It's a lot more elegant. Some say the Roma is like an Aston Martin, but Aston Martin right now, the current models are kind of funky, let's say.
I don't know where their heads at with us, and like the performance is the styling is the interior is
I mean,
I don't know.
They got good engines, AMG engines, but other than that, it's kind of like
I mean, if I want an AMG engine, I'll buy an AMG. Like that is the thing. I guess maybe worth mentioning is the Maserati MC20. That's supposedly the new replacement of the. I guess is it not? It's not really the Gran Turismo replacement, but we are going to see a new Gran Turismo as well. So the supercar, like, I don't know if this is the right word to use it, but the entry level supercar market, we're going to see a lot more stuff coming in the next year or two, and this is one of them. But yeah, styling wise, not that excited. The performance is cool. The 120-degree V6 engine is pretty cool.
Yeah,
all new engine for this thing, and the plug-in hybrid. I think the numbers are really neat, and if you're a numbers kind of guy, this will. I think for the money, this is really really solid. But yeah, it's just styling, just dull.
Yeah, there's something like when the 458 first came out, I was like, wow, that's an amazing looking vehicle. When the 430 came out, I was like, that is actually the 430 I was kind of still iffy on. The 360 when that came out, I was like, ooh, that's a beautiful looking vehicle.
Yeah.
There's sometimes Ferrari, like they get it right, and there's sometimes they keep tweaking on something that's already really good to make it better, but all they did was make it different. I wouldn't say it's better, it's just different.
Yeah. No, I like the 430. It's not the prettiest, but I I think it has character. It has like an identity to it, and it's got a face to it. It's not as pretty as a 360, and it's not as pretty as a 458, but I still like it. But this, I'm just like, this is kind of lazy. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
not my cup of tea. But
I like how we're talking about it like we're gonna buy one tomorrow. Like,
yeah, like
you know,
we are in that market somehow.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what we say about it.
Yeah, no, people are still going to buy this, and you need to buy this just to be a stepping stone, so you can buy that Ferrari,
Hmm,
which is
yeah,
the new model is called the that Ferrari. It's not the Ferrari, the
that
Ferrari
Ferrari.
that was before. The new one is that
That
Ferrari.
Ferrari.
Yeah, or
And then
da
after that
Ferrari.
is this Ferrari.
This Ferrari, yeah, great naming from their part, but yeah,
Um, let's move on to something that is kind
also
of,
Stellantis related.
yeah, kind of has Ferrari bits and pieces to it. So
It has their reliability and electronics. They hired the same guy to do their electronics engineer.
the one part that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So there's a new extreme recon package for the Wrangler. So
Yes.
you can get it for the Rubicon as well as the Rubicon 392, which is the Hemi V8 version of the Rubicon. But what this is like a extra package on top to make your Wrangler more off-road capable. But really, it's so that you can tell those people that bought a brand new Ford Bronco that you're better than them.
Yeah. So I mean, they timed this specifically. The Bronco release. We heard all about the Bronco a few months back, but the actual release, all the road tests, the embargoes, uh, everything came out this week, and Jeep's like, well, we gotta one up them. We've got to slightly one up them. So, in terms of the off-road figures, this thing is pretty compelling because it's got what 35-inch tires. It's got a 1.5-inch lift. It's got beadlock capable wheels, and more aggressive axle ratio, and that leads to if you pair it with a manual transmission, 100-to-1 crawl ratio. So that is higher than any factory off-road vehicle has ever been offered with. The automatic is only slightly behind that, but it's the same idea. Um, but yeah, the numbers wise, in terms of off-road figures, pure off-road figures, it is better than the Bronco. But my takeaway after watching every review so far of the Bronco is that the Bronco is just way better to live with. And the front end, like I don't know about you. I know you reviewed a few Wranglers. I mentioned it a few episodes back, but I just cannot drive the Wrangler. It drives so terribly. The recirculating ball steering, it just feels like a nonstop death wobble. I'm okay driving that in an urban environment. Like if I'm driving that in downtown, below 50K, no problem. I'll live with the Wrangler. But if you have any kind of highway commuting, I think the Wrangler it's just way too compromised. And everyone getting out of the Bronco was just like, this is so much more livable because it's got a more conventional front suspension chassis setup with their independent suspension, and they're able to achieve pretty much just as much articulation, if not more. And they've got like a killer sway bar disconnect system. The
Yeah.
the Bronco, the Bronco has a crawl gear specific, so it's a 7-speed manual, and that's so that you don't mess up the other 6 gears. We have a dedicated gear for that. How Jeep's done it in this case is just change the whole axle ratio. So you put different gears, your final drive changes, and then everything changes. But the problem with everything changing is your highway RPM. just to maintain the speed limit, you're doing over 2,000 RPM in an already very loud car that's already very uncomfortable to drive on the highway.
But because
I
of how
think
much wind noise there is, you may not be able to hear the engine at 2000 anyways.
true. I mean, the engines are never that noisy. At least with the JL generation, they've been
Yeah.
they've been pretty good. But yeah, I think Jeep. I don't know if Jeep really saw the Bronco coming, and I think this recon package, like this is stuff that we could slap on in the aftermarket,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And
Inch
this
and a
is
half lift is nothing, and
yeah,
35s is something you can fit normally with a little bit of tinkering to the
you can
fenders.
fit 37s easily on a Wrangler.
With
So it's
yeah,
nothing here is game changing in terms of the numbers that it increases. It's just that much better than a Bronco in stock form. But off-road people never keep a truck stock.
yeah,
Like it's even like they're way more mod lenient than people that track their cars even, or people that just street drive their car, because in the off-road world you want to spend that money just to keep yourself safe. You don't want to get stuck anywhere. It's a huge hassle. It's not talking about like a few seconds off your lifetime. This is like life and death stuff, and
yeah.
no one cheaps out with off-road. So I think this is such a band-aid for what is a fundamentally flawed car. now that the now that the Bronco has really matured, and we've all gotten our taste of it. um yeah, I mean, RIP to Jeep, because that's my prediction. I know the Jeep has their diehard fans, and Jeep's been around they're the name that the Wrangler has stayed in this off-roader game longer than anyone else. They haven't got priced out of the market, or um, they've been able to make this dedicated off-road vehicle. But I think people are gonna just you're gonna test drive the Bronco. Let's say you're very young, this is your first off-road vehicle. You're gonna test drive both, and then it looks just as cool, if not cooler, because everyone already has a Wrangler. Maybe you want to try something different. Frankly, Ford's reliability has been better than anything Stellantis. They're not, I'm not here to say that Ford is amazing with their reliability, but they they're pretty, like, they're
They're
reasonably
not bad.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been pretty solid. Like their pickup trucks have been pretty good, and their sports cars have been pretty decent too. They've had a few hiccups here and there with the Focus and the Fiesta, but no, I think the the smart choice is to get a Bronco at the
So
end of the day.
so being the complete, like, I do agree with you, but just some points on the opposite side here.
Hmm.
The 392 Wrangler. I mean, we all know that's brand new. It's a Hemi V8 in a Wrangler. A bunch of engineering gone into it to actually house a Hemi V8 under there. And that's the only vehicle that's like proper off-roader like this with the V8. I mean, yeah, Land Cruiser kind of, but not Wrangler style. No one's taking Land Cruisers where you can take Wranglers, right? And you can't get a V8 in a Ford Bronco. You can get the 2.7 or the 2.3, but not anywhere close to a 392. And there are people out there that love that Hemi V8 sound, and it doesn't matter, if it drives better or not. If it accelerates better, that Hemi V8 is all they want. I mean, I've driven the JL JK, but the JK is like the oldest Wrangler I've ever driven, because
Hmm.
I mean that they came out back in like '07 or something. The JKs were pretty bad. JL's like better, but like you said, that articulating ball steering is not great. Um, I drove it from my home to Richmond. So I took the east west connector. It's essentially like 5 kilometers of the straight highway going like 80, 90, 100,
Yep.
depending on which lane and the day. Um, but it is a perfectly straight piece of road. But in a Jeep, that is not a straight piece of road. You're going left and right just to make sure you're still within the lane.
Yeah, the
So
car tram lines like no tomorrow, and any crosswind is just, and I'm sure the
Oh,
Bronco looks equally unaerodynamic,
yeah, it's
but
definitely not going to be great when
at
there's
least
crosswind.
it's got independent front.
But in the independent front suspension will make it a lot more livable day to day. But as technology progresses, we have to accept the fact that a lot of newer tech, while it may be worse in the past, it may be actually half decent now. Because like if we take a look at some of the off-road videos that you love to watch, where they're taking like the Santa Fe and whatnot off-road, and the newer Hyundai system, that H-Track, it performs really well off-road. That the standard all-wheel drive system using the ABS sensors to send power where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like those work a lot better than systems of the past, like 5-10 years ago. What's to say that this Ford Bronco with its front independent suspension and a really good disconnect that you can disconnect when there's load won't overcome everything that the Wrangler can do?
Yeah, I think they've been able to bend, and that's the thing, is that Ford was able to strike, kind of like a Trojan horse. Like they kind of snuck in there. You've got the benchmark. The Wrangler is the benchmark, no doubt about it. And you could just build everything better. Okay, what's good about it? We need that articulation. We need the sway bar disconnect, but we're going to make ours actually work. Because the thing with the JK generation Rubicon, when they did that sway bar disconnect, guess what? If you submerge that system, it's a one-time use thing.
Yeah,
that's how bad and
it had a lot of
unthought out
problems.
that yeah, if you went anywhere near the water, you cannot adjust your alignment. The chassis would just seize up and your sway bar disconnects no longer work. Fires even, like like the idea is there, but in terms of actual, not only is Ford matching them in terms of performance, but the livability, I think, is the key. That's why the 4Runner is still a thing. The 4Runner off-road wise is not even that impressive. Even if you go up to TRD Pro, a mid-grade Wrangler will destroy it off-road, and even like a standard FJ Cruiser from 10-15 years ago would still destroy a new TRD Pro. But it is a very livable vehicle, and a lot of people want that. You want that off-road look and feel without that compromise.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why the TRD Pro does well, and I think that's why the Bronco is going to do well.
Yeah, I think the Bronco is going to do well just because of that. I mean, not everyone's able to afford the perfect 2-car garage, or in your case, like what, 8-car garage. But I'm sure those ones that you still need to get back to work on Monday, but on the weekends you want to have some fun. The Bronco is going to be a better vehicle for you than any Wrangler, simply because of just the livability of it.
Yeah,
but let's
and
move
it's kind
on.
of built on a proven platform and a proven engine too.
Yeah,
right. The 2.7, the 2.3, these are carried over from existing Ford trucks.
I wonder if the 2.3 you can tune it, like you can put a cob on it, like the same.
Can absolutely tune it. It's
Ooh.
Yeah, and the 2.7 is already faster than a 5-liter. Interesting that you mentioned the 392, but looking at Ford's own engines, the 2.7 is going to beat the 5.0 with very slight modification in terms of acceleration, but it will destroy it with fuel economy any day, hands down.
I'm in my head right now. I'm thinking Bronco with a burble tune.
Yeah, Bronco with some mods. Their exhausts never sound good. Now that's the thing with the EcoBoost engines. The Raptor sounds terrible. You can put a loud exhaust on it, and it just sounds even worse. The Focus RS though, no, that's a good sounding engine.
Yeah. So tech tip: buy the 2.3. Get a cob to tune it, and buy the exhaust that the Focus RS has.
And then get the Ken Block drift knob
the
handbrake. The handbrake, the air brake. I don't know what you call it.
Pretty sure it was a hydraulic one.
Yeah. Moving on to something proven,
Very proven. Something that is very
too proven, in
comfortable.
fact.
Very comfortable. This is the Lexus RX 450h. This is the review that I posted on Monday. Um, Super comfortable daily SUV that is just great on gas, and that's really it. You know, if you're buying this, it's because it's efficient, because it's good overall, it's reliable. There's nothing really got to think about.
Yeah.
That's
And it's
really what it
because
comes
you
down to.
don't care how a car drives. Like, you really, really don't care how a car drives.
Yeah. So Lexus has the F Sport model with sport tune suspension. The sport is in quotation marks because it's really not that sporty. It's super soft still, but it's not for anyone that cares about how it drives. It's just for a person that wants a reliable car. But if you want one, you probably already bought one and you probably never need to upgrade. Because we were talking about
Yeah.
this before the show. If you had one from 10 years ago, it probably still runs perfectly fine, has all the features that you still really need. You don't need to upgrade.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, this car does not drive any better. It's still running like older powertrain technology with slight tweaks here and there, but now we have what, an 8-speed in this one?
No, CVT.
Oh, all right, because it's a hybrid. Sorry.
Yeah.
And you can get it in the long model. I don't think anyone really did.
The long, it's not even a long wheelbase. Kind of like Passport and Pilot, they just added 4 inches to the rear end so you can fit
Yeah.
that third row, but no one can
Yeah.
fit in the third row. So
Yeah, it's just like, it's a good looking car, but like, this costs how much? How much is this RX 450?
so this one as tested is like 73,000 Canadian.
Right. And a Highlander hybrid is
50 something,
55, like a
something like
decently
that.
equipped one, maybe just under 60. I don't know. It's quiet, but it just, like, I don't really care how a car drives. Like, if it's my A to B car, I really don't care. And I tell people about my RAV4 all the time. I'm like, if you care about how a car drives and you need a test drive and anything, that's not the car for you. You don't. This car is not for anyone who really gives a crap about driving dynamics. But the RX takes it one step further than the RAV4. And my RAV4 is quote unquote also sport tune suspension. Even though it's not an XSE, apparently the XLE has. But
Sport
we'll
tune
get,
suspension.
yeah, which is still a joke. And the RX is just like, to me, driving this car is just, it's just too bulbous. It's too clumsy. Like, clumsy is the word I want to describe. It's so clumsy to the point that I feel like I will hit stuff in it.
Because you fall asleep
Um,
while driving.
you will fall asleep while driving, and you can't really, like, it's very the front end kind of just dips down, and you can't really tell where the corners of your car are. I think this has been an RX issue since the third gen RX. Well,
You
actually, no,
got
that's only the previous gen.
you
We're
got a
only at the
360
fourth gen.
camera, so there's nothing to worry about.
You get a 360 camera when you're parking, but when you're driving and just like changing lanes and stuff, well, let's face it, you don't change lanes in this car.
No, you
You stay in
stick
the
in the
left
middle.
lane at the speed limit, and then
Yeah.
and that's what you do with an RX. Like, it's just, it bugs me that this is like the bestseller in the mid-size luxuries. Like, it just, how little do you care? And you know what? Their resale is not even that strong anymore. That
The older ones aren't bad.
The older
Um,
ones are amazing. And that's kind of always been the selling point, right? Is you get an RX because a 10-year-old Mercedes ML, GLE, BMW X5, that's not going to be worth anything. And nowadays you look at like a 2015 RX and they're not really that strong. They're not
yeah.
outperforming the Germans even. Um,
One thing
yeah,
that
no.
is really nice about the RX is the interior. So there are some people that hate touchscreens. So like this RX is like the anti-Tesla. So like the Teslas, they don't have any buttons inside, right? Like it's
Mhm.
all touchscreen. But this has almost a button for everything that you really need. All the climate controls there. You got your radio controls in the center. Like you have a lot of buttons in here. So if you're a fan of buttons, most manufacturers are going away from that. But the RX, you still got plenty. So, that's something.
Yeah, and you could get like a 2017 RX 350 is under 40 grand, which I think now that was never the case before. Like a few years old, just out of warranty car, which warranty, like we mentioned before the show, not a huge deal typically with a car like this because
You
it's
don't need it.
it's old tech that even 10 years ago was reliable. It's only better now.
Yeah. You really don't need a warranty with a Lexus. Don't buy certified pre-owned Lexus. You're just wasting money.
Lexi, yeah. But to me, I look at the NX, the new NX we talked about recently. I'm like, okay, that I get.
Yeah.
Like I totally get choosing an NX over an RDX or whatever Infinity makes these days, and
UX50.
even over the German competitors. But this just when you're spending this kind of money, like, can you just like care a little bit more about what you're getting? Like, I don't know.
I think it's, in the long run, if you buy an RX, you use it for 20 odd years, you're going to get your monies back from it because of how reliable it is overall, how much fuel you're saving, especially with this hybrid variant.
Yeah, and it costs about the same as a Camry to maintain.
Yeah, like that's the best part. And Lexus, I mean, they do put a lot of attention in making the vehicle quieter. Like the cabin is whisper quiet compared to Highlander. Highlander, like it's good, but it's not this good. It's nowhere near as good as this. The MVH and this is just like substantially better.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like special.
It definitely doesn't feel
Like,
special.
yeah,
It doesn't. It's far from special, but it's something. It's something for someone that may care about things that you and I really don't care about.
Has a lot of money. Like it's not a cheap vehicle. Like you're spending over $70,000. Like get something that like just makes your day a little bit.
You're so against it. I love it.
The RX is one of my least favorite cars. Lexus with their old school powertrains is like, even though this is the hybrid model, but the RX 350 especially, I don't like. I just don't like what it stands for.
You must hate
I
the
don't
GS,
like. I must hate what?
The GS.
Oh well, the GS. See, the GS doesn't sell. See, I can't be mad about a mediocre car that doesn't sell.
That no one wants.
Yeah, but this one, people love it, and it's just like, why? Like, what is this? And I've driven like every year, and I used to like them. Like an 05, I thought that was like pretty nice. Like, the overall fit and finish, like, damn, that is a nice car. And that car felt kind of futuristic at the time, like a 06 RX 330 or 350 when they first started rolling out the 350s. Yeah, those are nice cars. And then even the generation after. But this, I guess the fourth generation, it's just, to me, it is the laziest of them all. And it is just the epitome of Toyota and Lexus phoning it in because they have a proven product that they know will sell regardless of how uncompelling and how little they invest into it.
Okay, so
let
me ask you this. I mean, if I was to want a luxury hybrid SUV, what else is there?
If you're leasing at this price point, don't worry about fuel economy.
No, I want to buy. I want to buy a luxury hybrid SUV. Right?
I don't know what's available. A Cayenne is so much more expensive, but the Cayenne is so nice. Like I think people who drive this have never even get into a base Cayenne, like a V6 base model.
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
But I'm looking for a reliable luxury hybrid SUV.
I think the hybrid is a moot point
Yeah,
because you're spending $80,000. An extra $1,000 a year of gas is not going to kill you.
yeah, but the 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 company pays for the car, but they don't pay for the gas. Really special company. Um,
Yeah,
it's a very special scenario that
yeah,
only the RX 450h fits
yeah.
into.
I feel like the Lexus, like this is the epitome of someone that doesn't cross shop. Because if you drive even an MDX, like even an MDX, I think feels more special. And like
Especially that new one.
the
The
new
new
one, like
MDX is really
yeah,
good.
it's just like the interior is more unique. I think there's just more character to that. But
Yeah,
it's you definitely like have not experienced. I think that is what frustrates me is that you have not experienced other cars if you buy this, and this is the way you go. It's just like that tells me how little you know and how you treat it like you're buying an
I
appliance.
think the only other hybrid SUV around that, definitely not that price range, is the X-Drive 45e from X5 or BMW, I should say.
Yeah,
Like, yes, this is more. The one I tested was like 100K, but you don't have to spend that. Like, this is probably like, if you are looking for a good hybrid SUV, this comes with a plug as well, which is great. I think the BMW is definitely a much better solution overall than the Lexus. But it doesn't matter. People are still going to buy Lexus
people are
over.
still gonna buy it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can make the rest of the world better, but it's just like if I take my grandma to, I don't know, I can take her to Rome, and she will still look for where can she get the crappy Chinese food, and that there will always be that crappy Chinese food restaurant in middle of nowhere Italy, because there are people like my grandma,
Yeah.
because they will not eat anything but rice, even if it's like the crappiest thing. And it's like, well, this is paella. It's, it's no, they just focus on one thing, and you just shut out to the world around you.
Whole world, anything else, just that one.
Yeah.
And that's what the Lexus RX is for. That's basically
glowing
it.
glowing review of the Lexus RX.
I mean, it, like I said it in the review. It's made for those who want just a reliable luxury SUV that you don't have to think about. If you
But
care about
isn't
how
that an oxymoron there? Like, it's good for those people that want that A to B, but it's also like 70 something $1,000 and a luxury vehicle, quote
yeah,
unquote.
it's a little bit of that image as well, right?
Yeah.
I know people that have a Lexus RX, and I asked them why. Like they're like, oh, it's a well, I was looking at the Highlander, but it's not a luxury brand. I
Yeah,
want a
and I know
luxury
people that will
brand.
drive like a 20-year-old Lexus RX over a new RAV4
Yeah,
because they to them it's more luxurious. Because
didn't one of your friends do that?
oh, I don't think that was over luxury. It was just
Oh,
like it
okay.
was cheap, and it runs. But yeah, no.
Yeah, it yeah, there's no real reason why if you like cars you'll buy it. It's it's just because the Highlander doesn't have a luxury badge. That's what it comes down to. Because technically speaking, the Highlander is on a newer platform.
Yeah,
This is the TNGA thing. It has a better hybrid system. It's more fuel efficient, like a lot more fuel
it's
efficient.
way bigger inside.
It's bigger inside. You get a better vehicle overall, but there are some
Yeah,
not great materials in the Highlander, like we
yeah.
talked about previously. But
So the
it's minimal, right?
answer, the answer is really Genesis. Please step up your game real fast. We need that GV80 hybrid, and I need you to wipe Lexus off the face of the earth. Well, at least the RX 350. Like they, this car is so old now too. It's 5 years old now, and they're still the bestseller. Like that's what the heck. Yeah. So the answer is Genesis, please just undercut the crap out of them. Do better because it is a better car, like a GV80 versus an RX 350. I would already I don't even
Yeah.
like Genesis as a brand, but I like that car better than
The,
RX.
the GV80, if they made a hybrid variant or a plug-in hybrid, it's going to cost too much.
Yeah, looks better, drives better, and that's about it.
Yeah. Anyways, anything else you want to add?
No, I'm too mad.
All right, never to bring up Lexus RX again. Maybe we'll talk about the Lexus IS next time, and you could get mad about that.
I get mad at that every day. I stare at it every day.
In any case, thank you so much for watching today, and thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week in some more automotive news. Take care, everyone. Too mad to say bye, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, just that's it.